And we're live. Yay! Awesome. All right. We're just going to wait here a couple of minutes and let's let some people jump on. Going to make sure we are actually live in our group.
Okay.
Because social media can do that to us sometimes. Let's see. We are. We're live. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Awesome. We did this. Yay. Do you have your presentation ready to share so I can have it down here at the bottom? You can go ahead and share it if you want, Julie. I just won't put it on the screen until we actually get to that point.
Cool.
Yay.
I'm going to share that.
Hey guys, if you're jumping on, say hello. Remember, we are streaming live via StreamYard. So you do have to give permission for StreamYard to see, for me to see your name. I see Teresa's done that. Hello, Teresa. And I have another person that says hello, but I don't know who you are. So let me go. Oh, there you are. Katie. Hey, Katie, how are you? Do we need to do steamboat thingy so you can see our names? Yes, but you already did. So you're good, Teresa. Thank you. Awesome. We're going to give it a couple of minutes, let some other people join us. I know there's usually a hiccup between when I hit start and when everybody sees it. Hello, Laura. I see you're on with us today. Awesome, awesome. And two of you who are here inside of the Calculated Profit Pursuit Facebook group are bookkeepers. So remember, Julie's going to be with us. I believe it's next week as well inside of that group. And her training next week will be a little bit more geared towards bookkeepers. But today is just going to be an overall for anybody who needs automation. And personally, I love automation. Automation is queen. Everybody says cash is queen. I say automation is queen because that just produces the cash, right?
Exactly.
Exactly. So, all right, we're just going to get started. If you're joining the joining replay, if you're watching the replay, if you'll hashtag replay, that would be awesome. So Julie can reach out to you afterwards just to see if you have any questions or anything. But before we start, I'm going to introduce Julie, and I have like a tag, not a tagline, but I'm going to read this because it is so good. Like this gives you so much information about Julie, and she is amazing. So Julie is a Dubsado and systems strategist. She helps service-based businesses scale for maximum impact and profits through strong client systems in Dubsado. So she is all about some Dubsado. It is no surprise that she is a lover of all things organization and structure. She's my girl. And if you're struggling with the same thing in your business, Julie is here to help you. She focuses on developing strategy for client management systems for her clients, and she lives in Michigan with her husband, her daughter, and her pup. So welcome, Julie. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Stephanie Manley, and I am a virtual CFO and bookkeeper, and I am here to help you with all things numbers. And when it comes to numbers, again, automation is queen, because when you can automate things on the back end of your business, you're able to really do things that produce income, right? So if you're doing things over and over and over again, and Julie can tell you this too, you need to automate that stuff. Quit doing things over and over and over, the same stuff, right? So I'm going to let Julie have at it. She has a presentation for you guys today. And if you have questions throughout, pop them in the comments, and we'll stop here and there. And then we'll do a Q&A at the end, Julie, if you're good with that. Yep. For any questions. All right, so take it away. If you want to say something, or you want me to go ahead and put your slide up.
Go ahead and push my slides up.
Awesome. All right, and I'm going to jump off of here so you don't.
Okay. So I'm so happy to be here today talking about automation. Like she said in my bio, I'm like all about organization, structure, and systems. So I'm excited to share that with you today. I wanted to quickly just give you a little bit more background information about who I am and what I'm all about. I'm actually an HR professional turned system strategist, and I spent a large chunk of my corporate career really playing that middle ground, representing team members and what they needed, while also representing the company and enforcing company policies and procedures. And in my last role as an HR manager, I really spent a lot of time working on company culture. And one of the big struggles that we had at that organization was around being successful and satisfied with their job. And one of the struggles they had was not having anything documented. So it was very difficult to do their job because they didn't have any systems in place. They didn't have the technology in place. And there was not a lot of knowledge transfer. So it was really that role that pushed me, made me realize that I adore and thrive around structure. And so it was that passion that I gained that brought me to the Dubsado and systems strategist world. So workflows in Dubsado are my thing. I love working on strategies for client experience. It kind of started with my days in HR with onboarding new team members and welcoming them into the organization and making sure that they were satisfied, working for the organization long term. So that's a little bit of background information about me. What I wanted to share next was just our agenda today. So I want to start with what makes a stellar client experience, what to actually automate, and most importantly, how to begin. So client experience is all the buzz right now, and really it's for good reason. Client experience really encompasses the entire life cycle of your client. So it covers everything that happens from being a prospect to being a paying client. Sometimes you'll hear the term client journey. To me, it's the same thing, client experience, client journey. It's all the stages that they go through with working with your business. I like to equate the client experience kind of like a funnel. So if you think about like a sales funnel, I'm sure you've all heard that term before. It's really about getting someone into the top of your funnel, so making them aware of your business or your service, and then guiding them through your funnel to where they actually purchase the product or purchase your service. Client experience to me is very similar. So it's a series of processes that happen throughout your client management system. And it's really what sets you apart from your competitors. I'm going to take a minute here to talk about a client management system. So systems are the series of processes that work together to complete a task. So a system that works is consistent, efficient, and effective, gives you sanity, it's easily repeatable. It really gives you the freedom to devote your time and energy where you want. So like Stephanie was saying, automation is queen because you have automation, you can generate more revenue. So your client management system is the series of processes that you need to onboard, support, offboard, and potentially bring repeat customers back to your business. So it's all those pieces tied together that becomes your client experience. It's what happens and when. So a good question to ask, you likely have a client management system today. If you're signing a new client, you have a system for signing a new client. The question then becomes, when you sign a new client, are you clear on everything that needs to be done? Or are you scratching your head trying to remember what you did last time, looking for template emails, looking for your contract, recreating your invoice from scratch every single time, and you're doing it all manually? So likely if that's you today, you have a system, it's just not efficient or effective. And that's where automation comes into play. So I quickly want to or briefly show you an outline of what, if you were to think of client experience as a funnel, what that would look like. So you have your lead stage, onboarding stage, active client, and then offboarding stage. You might have additional stages. You might have stages after offboarding, but in general, these are the major milestones that a client is going to meet when they get connected with you. All right. So we've covered client experience, what your client management system is. Now it's time to talk about what that actually looks like. So a stellar client experience is all about treating the client how you would want to be treated at every stage of their time with you. It's really the golden rule. That's the secret. So in a world where the client can choose any service provider, it's the experience that sets you apart from the rest of the crowd. And if you think about it, you were the reason why you got chosen compared to anybody else that does the same thing that you do. So your experience needs to set you apart as well. And if you think about in your own experience as a consumer, are you more likely to refer someone who provided, over delivered or someone who under delivered? Likewise, are you going to recommend someone who made you feel important or someone who made you feel forgotten? It's the same kind of concept when you're developing your own client experience and what you deliver to your clients. So I have some questions that I always recommend that you ask when you're developing your experience. What would be important to you? What do you value? And how would you want to be treated? What are the common questions that come up with new clients? What have past clients been confused about? What needs to happen for your project to run or your retainer to start and for that to be successful? And what would make client onboarding, project execution, offboarding, all of those things easier for you? If you can create an experience with these answers in answers to these questions in mind, in my opinion, you're golden. And again, this is what's going to set you apart and make your experience memorable. So top considerations, in my opinion, it's the little things, right? You want your client to feel supported, important, and like you care about them from the very beginning. The worst thing that can happen is someone pays their invoice and signs their contract, and then they get crickets and they feel like they just made a bad investment. You don't want that. You want the opposite. So you need to have an experience that's succinct, informative, personalized, and really give them a clear picture of what they can expect from you at every stage of the process. So that means that you need to be intentional with your communications, information sharing and gathering, and the overall process. So it's really paying attention to the little things and what can you sprinkle in here and out to make it feel personalized without, causing a lot of manual work on your end. So some good things to consider are like what kind of information can you share or provide upfront to your client? How can you collect information or provide information in like a succinct way? Are there ways that you can add personalization, like gifts, recognition, doing check-ins, anything like that? To do this, to achieve this, you really need to have that effective and efficient system. Okay, so now that we've talked about what client experience is, the stages of it, thinking of it like a funnel, why it's important, and top considerations, it's time to talk about automations. So automations are the part of your overall system, the tool that you use to execute your system. It really means no thinking required. Like I like to call it putting your business on autopilot, because with automations, you can truly step away from the day-to-day admin stuff and focus elsewhere. It's kind of like cruise control in your car allows you to not focus on the speed. You can just drive. Or the new fancy cars have the autopilot feature where like, I think it's the Teslas where it will actually drive for you or do the lane assist where you don't have to focus on staying within the lines, right? It within safety, of course, but you can really like not focus on driving and do other things. Like, I don't know if anybody else has seen videos on Instagram or heard news stories about people in their Teslas having a chess game because their car is driving for them, right? That's the concept. That's the same thing that you can have in your business. Stuff running behind the scenes without your having to push the buttons, and that's the automation. So again, you need to have that system in place to know like what needs to happen when in order to set up your automations. So this presentation, I said it was the top 5 ways to automate your business, but I couldn't settle on 5, so I picked 7. Automating tasks, reminders, marketing, and delivery processes are going to give you a more functional business. specifically with regards to client experience, I picked 7 ways that you can automate. Scheduling, proposals, contracts, invoicing, email, task management, and data collection. So these are the 7 categories that you can easily automate in your business. They're going to have a huge impact on you as far as having to manage all of these things and complete them. And it's also going to have a huge impact on your client as far as their experience is concerned. So all of these things, there's a ton of software out there that you could choose from to do these. Scheduling, you could choose Calendly or Acuity. Proposals can be sent through your email, probably a Google Doc that you maintain with your template in. Contract, same thing. It's probably a Google Doc that you send through DocuSign. Invoicing can be done through your accounting software. Email, have your Gmail, or depending upon what kind of emails you're sending out, maybe a MailChimp. Task management is great for project management tool like Trello or ClickUp. And then data collection, most people will use Google Forms for that. But that can also be a lot to manage if you have 7 different softwares for 7 different things that need to happen for each one of your clients. And that's where an all-in-one tool comes from. It's kind of like, would you rather go to the hardware store and a grocery store and a home goods store and a bakery, whatever, or would you rather go to like a Target or a Walmart to get everything that you need? All-in-ones have so many so much potential and so much like savings for you. So the one that I choose, like we said at the beginning, is Dubsado. That's what I specialize in. It's, in my opinion, the best all-in-one platform for client management. It condenses dozens of other software into one. It's an easy to navigate platform. And I love that I, as a business owner, can manage all of my clients in Dubsado, and then within each project, each client, I can see emails, invoicing, contracts, everything that I've ever sent to that person within their profile in Dubsado. And likewise, my client has a client portal where they can log into that and view everything that they need to view all in one place. We'll talk a little bit more about Dubsado later, but if you want automation to work, you need to have all of those 7 things cohesive in a way that they, if you send the contract, or they pay the invoice, then the next thing happens. Okay. So where do you even start? How do you even begin? This can be like the hardest part because it can feel overwhelming, especially if you have never set up automations before, or maybe you've like logged into Dubsado and like logged right back out, like too much. Systems aren't your thing, tech isn't your thing. The getting started can be the hardest part. But the fortunate thing is that you just need to start. You just need to make one decision, break it down into small pieces, and just start. And what you create today isn't set in stone. You can always modify it later. And quite frankly, like, you should modify it as your business changes. Your needs are going to change. Your client needs are going to change. So it's okay. You just need to start. I like to call this process mapping. This is what I do with my clients when we get started, is a process map. Because until you know what your process map is, you can't automate anything or really have any kind of a system unless you know what it is. So that's really the first step, is really defining your client system. It's going through those questions of what needs to happen at each stage, what is each stage, what would I want to have happen, what would I want to know, and then defining what that is, identifying all those pieces. Then it's deciding what you're going to use to automate. Are you going to outsource to a person to do it, or are you going to use technology like Dubsado to automate these things for you? Then it's creating your templates and implementing those. So if you have a contract today and it lives in Google Docs, but you want to migrate it to Dubsado, it's going through the process of migrating that information. If you have 3 Google Forms that you use to collect information from your client. It's translating that into Dubsado, maybe condensing it to 1, and then identifying like, when am I going to send these, right? So it's going through that whole process, creating all of your canned emails. Like I'm sending the same email to all of my clients at the same time. It's creating those templates, creating the workflows and the automations. Within Dubsado, your automation is called a workflow. And then once you have everything in Dubsado or whatever software you're using, it's actually going live with it and using it on your clients and making adjustments along the way. So when I get started with my client, like I said, this is the first thing that we do is process mapping. So I understand clearly what all of the steps are in their system, identify gaps and make recommendations to add personalization, to add automation. Obviously, the less manual it is, the better it is for both parties. And it's really making sure that the business owner's personal brand is shining through in everything that we create in Dubsado, and that the experience the client receives is truly a reflection on the business owner. So, you can take everything that you've learned today, choose Dubsado and implement it on your own, or choose a different platform, right? It's whatever works for you. If, however, you're at the point where you have a solid market tested service, you're ready to optimize your experience and create a business that's scalable, and you want to generate revenue without putting more hours in, it might be time for you to look at outsourcing your Dubsado setup to a professional like myself so that you can really maximize your time and your energy onto what really is going to move the needle in your business. Often that's not the admin work that has to happen to create the workflows that you need in your business for it to be automated and scalable. So if you're recognizing that you can't do it at all on your own, or you don't want to do it all on your own to achieve your goals, this is a great service for you. It's a full setup of your account. I go through you with that process mapping call to identify where you are today, where you want to go. And then based off that conversation, I get to work creating all of your assets that you need in Dubsado. That's your packages, your schedulers, your canned emails, your forms, your contracts, everything that you would need in order to populate and create that automation, that workflow, to then automate your entire client experience through Dubsado. So there's some work up front that has to happen as far as process mapping and giving me, the information about the data that you collect, et cetera. And there's some work on the end as far as learning Dubsado and how to use what gets set up. But ultimately, you get to sit back and relax while I do all the hard work and think of like all the gains that you're going to get through that experience, right? If, however, a full setup isn't for you, you're really not at that stage where you are ready to outsource your setup, or tech is your thing and you'd like to figure it out on your own. You just want some help making sure that you've identified all parts of your process and that your experience is that wow-worthy experience, then a strategy session might be the better option for you. So this is a 90-minute session with me where we go through your entire client experience process, all the steps of it. And I map that into basically Dubsado language. So I would tell you exactly what you would need in order to create a workflow to automate your client experience in your business. So it's great, again, for people who have Dubsado or maybe want to use Dubsado, but they would like to DIY the setup and just want to strategize on their client management processes and what that would look like in Dubsado. So I wanted to end my presentation just by letting you know how you could connect with me for future networking, or if you have any questions after today. I do spend a lot of time on Instagram, but I'm on Facebook, and then I also have my website as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Julie, so, so much. And, I know you're going to be live next week in my other group, but it looks like most of the people who were here today are in the other group as well. So I know next week you're going to get a little bit more specific with bookkeepers. But if there are any questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments while I'm talking here, and Julie can answer those for you. But Julie, I, in my other business, I, help bookkeepers with their back end and their systems. And one of the things that I recommend is Dubsado. And I give them the tips and tricks that I know through Dubsado, but I am definitely not a guru like you are of Dubsado at all. But there's so many other businesses, not just bookkeeping businesses, that need this, like social media managers. I know that they're in this group as well. Any kind of business that you are steadily doing things over and over and over. You have contracts, you have invoices, you have emails that you send out on a regular. Those are usually your service-based industries. So it is important that you have the back end built out. I'm all about building out that back end. I tell when I'm in the coaching business that you need your business to run while you sleep. Like that's my thing. So Dubsado lets your business run while you sleep, while you're running errands, while you're spending time with your kids. I mean, that's what the business is. That's what this is for. So I appreciate that. Teresa says, so you use Dubsado for all 7 areas to automate. Is that right, Julie? Do you do that?
Yes. So, and quickly before I wanted to piggyback off what you said, Stephanie, because I was talking to a business owner yesterday. She does podcast management, and she was like, I only have like 2 clients. I'm not onboarding clients every month. Like, I've thought about it, but I'm not sure. And my response to that is always, it's not going to hurt your business. If anything, it's going to make it easier for you. Even if you have a low number of clients that you work with, like maybe you do retainers and you cap out at 3 retainers a month. There's still so much benefit to automating. You still have invoices that have to go out manually every single month. You might have monthly meetings with your clients that need to get scheduled every single month that you can automate. There's even like maybe reporting or different things like that you could automate, sending it to your client, revisiting goals, like whatever your business looks like. There's, like you said, you really want your business to be able to run in your sleep. And if you're not looking for clients right now, like retainer clients, maybe it's a project or a strategy session that you want to automate that process for. So I'm always a huge proponent of like setting up your business today for what you want it to look like in the future. And there's never any harm in creating that foundation work. So the question was, do I automate all 7 of those things in Dubsado? Yes. So the only caveat to that is the task management in Dubsado is not going to be as robust as like a ClickUp, for example. So I do create to-dos in Dubsado for me, like because it triggers other things within my process. So when I want to look at like the specific client work that I need to do, I'm going to refer to a ClickUp. But if I want like, start phase 1, and I check that off, then it can send out an email. Like I'm going to use the to-do function in Dubsado for that type of feature. But if it's like, I need to break, I'm creating a website and I want to break that down into smaller tasks, I would use a ClickUp tool or something like that for that purpose versus Dubsado. But otherwise, like Dubsado's form feature is very robust. It replaces Google Forms, in my opinion. And the cool thing too is Dubsado released a newer version of their form builder, so it's more customizable and really like it's so cool. You can make it look like an extension of your website. So branding is so important from like a marketing perspective, but you want that to be cohesive for their entire time with you. You don't want it to be like you have this beautiful designed website and then as soon as they become a client, they get like white, there's nothing on it. So Dubsado released their new form builder, which has more design capabilities. It's easier to navigate. Functionality wise, it's very similar to what we had before, but it kind of eliminates the need for like custom code to make these beautiful forms.
Agree. Yes, I was actually playing in it yesterday, so it's awesome. Yeah. Very awesome. Yay. All right, let's see if we have any other questions, Julie. Do you have anything to say at the end here?
I just appreciate coming in today to talk to everyone about automation and Dubsado. If you couldn't tell, it's something I'm very passionate about. So if there are any other questions that come up later on, like feel free to post a question. I'm in the group, so you can tag me and then I'll be able to respond directly there in the group.
Awesome, awesome. And for those of you who are still bookkeepers that are sitting here, if you have any specific questions for Julie about Dubsado and how it relates to the bookkeeping world, I know she and I have talked about how I use Dubsado with bookkeeping. But then, if you have any specific questions that you want her to answer next week on that live, hop over into the rescue group. The event is already there. Pop your comments in there, and Julie's going to be monitoring those between now and next week. So she can answer those. But we will be, I believe oh my goodness, it's at 2, I believe, next week, isn't it, Julie? I think that's right.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up my calendar.
Let's see. Yep, it is the 21st at 2 o'clock. Yep, 21st at 2. So if you are a bookkeeper in here, I know there's several bookkeepers inside of my bookkeeping group. Hop over to Rescue because she'll be over there to give you even more details on how it will work for you and how you can customize it for your business. So, Julie, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day away from your little kiddo. I will talk with you soon, and I'll see you next week over in Rescue.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Julie. Have a great one. Bye, guys.